You can pick up the podcast. Those are hosted at WRQK.com. Also, right now at WRQK.com, there you can find the sign-up sheet for the Stansbury Cup, our golf outing. That's next month on July 24th. We'll be at Raintree Golf and Event Center. So will you and your team when you get signed up today. If you don't have a full foursome, it's all right. You can sign up as a twosome. We will get you paired up. Last year, somebody did that and ended up playing with me. So that might happen. You might be stuck with me all day at Raintree. Get your team signed up there at WRQK.com. Got a lot planned for you today, including 8 o'clock. We'll talk to Scott from winningfornextyear.com, the way we always do. We'll have to talk about the Cavaliers coaching search just a little bit. A couple of names being floated around pretty heavily. A former, I believe, Golden State Warriors assistant coach is nearing the top of the rumor pile right now, so we'll talk to Scott about that. Also, the Guardians. I foolishly bet them to win the division last year. It looks like maybe this will be the year that they get that done. Stephen Kwan is having an amazing year, so we'll talk to him about that. We'll talk to him about the Guardians and the possibility of bringing back Trevor Bauer. If anything is going to hold the Guards back, it will be starting pitching, as they've had some injuries in this department, right? And so people are talking about, well, maybe go get another arm. Let's see if we can make a run for this. Trevor Bauer has been through some PR nightmare stuff over the last couple of years. From the best I read, the best that I can tell, he has been, well, seen as innocent in all of this. The woman's now been charged with lying. And the man likes to have a little bit of rough sex. I mean, it's not necessarily my favorite thing in the world, but there's a, ethical question out there right now. Do you go back and reach out to Trevor Bauer? And my thing is, look, if he's not guilty and you think he can help you, then I think you got to do it, right? I mean, we know we make concessions in this to listen to bands or watch an actor or this or that. I mean, there's that Bratz documentary now on Hulu about the Brat Pack. Rob Lowe slept with a 16-year-old girl. Like, that happened. That happened. It was, I mean, literally, and people joke about it all the time. It's like, we look past stuff all the time for entertainment and talent. So whether or not Scott thinks it's a decent idea to talk to Trevor Bauer, we may have to ask him that question. We'll do that coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. At 9 a.m., we're going to open up a debate that we've had on this program many, many times. But we're going to look at it different. That argument is, what would a woman rather run into in the wild? A man or a bear? Well, now somebody's flipped that question on its head and is talking about what men would rather encounter, what men would rather run into. And this is an interesting conversation because some women are going to be guilty of what men are talking about here. I don't think it's all, much like I don't think all men are going to be as bad as the bear, right? Or worse than the bear saying that. But plenty of women are going to be guilty about what this little exercise is talking about. I have dated a few of them in my life. I've talked about this for 10 plus years. So this is a true thing. And we'll get to the male version of men versus bear. We will get to that coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. Also in the 8 o'clock hour, though, I want to take a look at being punctual, or on the flip side of that coin, being late. This is I don't really have a ton of these, but this is one of the things that really bothers me. I do not like when people are late. I do not like being late. I don't enjoy my time being wasted at all. So if I feel as if I'm wasting somebody's time, I don't like that. I don't want you waiting for me. I think I inherited this from my father. That man stood at the bottom of them steps, toe tapping his entire life, waiting for that woman to get her purse ready. How long does it take to get a purse ready? That man never found out. Like, he never found out. He's still waiting. Like, literally still waiting on the other side of life for her to get her makeup in her bag and ready to go out to dinner. Like, I don't enjoy waiting. I don't enjoy people being late, but apparently being late is no longer this big crime in the office the way it used to be. There could be a little pandemic thrown into this. I think it's also the younger generation. So we'll get into being late and being punctual. We'll spend part of the 8 o'clock hour doing that. Also at 7 o'clock, Kathy Hochul, I believe the governor of New York now, is looking to enact laws that will restrict children's use of social media. I remember this was Utah that had a very similar law, and everybody was screaming bloody murder about the conservatives looking to control lives. So now here's Kathy Hochul out in New York talking about this. We'll figure out whether or not these are decent ideas for limiting kids' use of social media. I'm not sure a lot of this felt teethless to me, but we'll flesh through it. We will spend part of the 7 o'clock hour doing that with Kathy Hochul again, looking to enact laws to restrict your children's use of social media. We will spend part of 7 o'clock hour taking a look at that.
Here's what's next on the Stansbury Show.
All right, so it turns out the pandemic shifted a few other things. And one of those is the 9-to-5 lifestyle. Apparently, you and I don't want the 9-to-5 lifestyle. It's not convenient enough. We'll tell you what changes we're looking for, and we'll do that here next on the Stansbury Show. If you're a person that is perpetually late, we may be headed into the perfect era for you. We'll get to why coming up at 8 a.m. It's 330-450-7625 to send a text to the studio. You can do that throughout the program. You can also find me on your socials at The Stansbury Show. While scrolling the internet daily, trying to find things to talk to you about, I will run across memes, of course, right? It's a dominant way people communicate. And one of them I see all the time is, never forget, man, we had $1 McChickens and 24-hour Walmarts. Look at what they took from us, right? You see those types of memes all of the time. And, of course, they're funny. And the Walmart thing is an interesting examination, the being open all the time. Convenience, right? Now, I once upon a time watched a documentary about Walmart. It was called, I believe, The High Price of Low Cost, I believe was the name of that documentary. And it actually starts with a Walmart opening up in a small Ohio town. And one of the things they talked about in that documentary was that's what they do. They roll into town, they're open 24 hours, their prices are lower than everybody else, and then once they have all of your customers and they shut down Joe's local store, then it's now we're going to close at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock like Joe's local store does, right? And there are very few 24-hour shopping locations. And that's what you and I are going to talk about right now. Because apparently, this is what you're looking for. And I can't really be all that surprised. The customer's kind of always been catered to in this country. That's why we believe the customer is always right is about us and not about telling lazy workers to work harder. That's what that statement's really about, not about us actually being right. But we believe that because we have been catered to. And convenience it's always, every business has always been trying to be more convenient, right? Or give you the appearance or the delusion rather, maybe, of convenience, right? And that's one of the things that can create customer loyalty. And of course, if you're a business, that's what you're looking for. Right? But a new study of Americans tells us that you're looking for more 24/7, round-the-clock businesses. Grocery stores actually topped the list at 56%. People said, oh, no, I want my grocery store open 24 hours a day. Now, I go to bed pretty early. I wake up pretty early. I have the life of a golden girl, even on the weekends. I mean, people laugh at this all the time, but I am in bed Friday night, sometimes earlier than I am in bed on Tuesday night. Sometimes that'll happen. I try to keep my schedule as close as I possibly can, even over the weekends. So I don't necessarily need things to be open super late anymore. But I'm not the only person alive. And this isn't the only shift that's there, right? That overnight workers or people who work very early in the morning looking for something open a little later, like that's what they're looking for. Now, these days, what a lot of businesses are going to tell you is, do we need to be? You can buy what you're looking for online. You can unless you need the thing right now, we've given you the ability to purchase it whenever you want. That you can do online and kind of wait. Now, unless you need the thing right now, that's a different situation. Over half, 55%, use a number of services in your neighborhood that are only open during their working hours. The biggest offender of these, people say, are banks. 24% of people said, give me my bank open 24 hours a day. Well, it is, isn't it? I don't have to go into the bank all that often. Now, I can't make my experience the experience of everyone. That would be anecdotal, right? Let's not do that. But I'm going to guess most of you listening are doing less inside the bank branch location than maybe ever before. I bank with a local credit union, and their app is really convenient. Really convenient. Gives me access to everything I need at a moment's notice. If a local credit union's application is that convenient, then I would have to imagine like the big name brand banks would be the same way. Now, once upon a time, I did have to go into the bank branch, and not that long. And it made me happy that they were open on a Saturday morning. I was able to do this. A Saturday morning, I was able to do this. And it made me happy that they were open. And the fact that they were local, I believe, helped me do this easier. I had lost a wallet. It had fallen out of a golf cart. Right? You were kind of driving and, going up and down the hills of the golf course or whatever, and it just kind of fell out the side of the golf cart. Couldn't find it. I didn't have the tracking tag on it at that point. I didn't have anything. So I was out of cards, and I didn't have my credit card, I didn't have my debit card, I didn't have anything. Not a thing. I was like, how am I going to pay for things outside of Apple Pay? Like, I need payments. Woke up that Saturday morning, drove to my bank. They were like, here's your new card right here. Handed me a card. That was convenient. That I needed, and that made me very happy I was able to do that in time. But I can make a payment 24 hours a day. I can take money out of a bank machine 24 hours a day. I don't necessarily need the bank. I don't need a bank teller available to me all that often. Now, again, my situation and what I need does not depict what all of society needs. Post offices and shipping centers, another 38% of people said they're only open while I'm at work. So not only are you looking for, it's not necessarily you're looking for 24 hours. What they're saying here is extend the business hours of some of these things that people are looking to use past our business hours. That maybe what you should be open is 11 to 7, not 9 to 5, right? And like there could be something in that. I could understand that. Because I understand why a lot of retailers are like, dude, I'm not open at 3 o'clock in the morning for 5 of you to walk around in here aimlessly while I'm burning electricity, paying for the workers, paying for this, paying for the security guard, and all that. You're more like, your parents taught you this, as did mine. Nothing good happens after midnight. And that's what a retailer understand why they don't want to be open at 3 o'clock in the morning if you're not getting the customers in the door the way you used to. And online shopping did that. Now, they kind of did that to themselves, a lot of the national retailers, because you pushed everybody down that road. But I can understand just wasting the money. Absolutely. The big things you're looking for, longer hours, big businesses that you're looking for longer hours the most. Grocery stores was number 1, 56%. It's food, you kind of need it. A pharmacy, which I guess you could find in your grocery store, although the grocery store pharmacy has different hours even than the grocery store does. But pharmacies, people are looking for, about 54% of people said, yeah, those need to be back to being more convenient 24 hours. And look, that's medicine. You know what I mean? So I understand that. It's like, oh my God, I'm out of these pills. I wasn't able to get out of work yesterday, blah, blah, blah. I should be able to do this at 10 o'clock. I might die if I don't have this. That I can understand. I could understand. I don't think you need one on every corner, especially in a town like this, right? And if I were a major, well, all right, like let's go back to Walmart. There's more than one of those locally here, right? Alliance has one, Canton's got a couple, Massillon's got one. They're literally everywhere, all over the place. I think in some areas they do this, where one of them's kind of open 24 hours, the rest of them kind of close at 10. I think if you are a national retailer and you have more than one location in an area, I think if you're finding out this info and people are looking for more convenience, then I would absolutely think about doing it. I would think about doing it. I knew a car dealer once who said, yeah, we kind of run weird hours here because people are at work all day. Like he was telling me, he goes, I have car salesmen out on the lot all day twiddling their thumbs because people are at work. He's like, after work, he's like, so we ended up changing our hours there a little bit. Now, the whole industry hasn't followed suit there, but I did know a couple of people who were looking at it that way. And I think it makes all the sense in the world. The customer will choose convenience over price 90% of the time. Or you know what, let me rephrase that. A consumer will in a lot of areas, convenience will allow them to forget about the price. That's what I should say. Convenience will allow them to look at the price and go, it's kind of worth it because it was this convenient. If you make it easier, they will end up giving you the money. I really do believe that. As a person who has worked closely with plenty of people who sell things for a living, I mean, that's my job for crying out loud, I believe that. That convenience sometimes can override price. Price is ultimately the overriding factor of everything. But sometimes convenience can make people go, okay, well, it's worth the extra $10 now. Get your team signed up for the Stansbury Cup, our golf outing at Raintree. That's on July 24th. You can get signed up today online at WRQK.com. Looking forward to that. We have fun every year. I cannot wait. It's going to be such a good time. We'll see you there. Get signed up today. We had been talking about convenience, and it turns out more and more of us are looking for businesses to ditch the 9 to 5 schedule of being open. And I would imagine as more and more people are starting to work at home, plenty of companies are still doing it, plenty of jobs are still allowing that. Some others not so much, but more and more people are doing that. And as the world goes more digital and people are making their money in those manners, their sleep schedules are going to change. When they leave their house, those hours are going to change, And so you're looking for more convenience that, the 9 to 5 doesn't always get it done. Now, I don't want to jump up and down on anybody, but this kind of reminds me of the conversation I had with you guys once upon a time about downtown Canton. And I said, this is years ago now, I said, Canton needs one chain. It needs one downtown chain to get people into downtown. But I said, the problem with that is once you open that chain door, then all of a sudden here they all come. And it's like, that's going to be part of the problem. I don't necessarily want that. But one of the reasons why I said it is so many of those shops there, you would walk down there Wednesday afternoon to go pull on the door and they weren't open. And I said then, and I was right about it. Dude, if Jackson comes down here once and they pull on this door and it ain't open, baby, they ain't never coming back. You hear the way people talk about Canton? Dude, they're afraid of it. They shouldn't be, but they are, right? So the convenience is going to be part of this issue. The businesses you're looking for to be more convenient, I guess I was a little shocked by one of them, but grocery store came in number one, and I could understand. The grocery store's hours are very, very convenient for me, but I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I can go when the blue hairs are going on Saturday morning. So, it's very convenient for me. Pharmacies came in number 2 at 54%. Now, that one I understood a little bit more. It's medicine. You may need that versus I kind of want a Snickers ice cream bar, right? Chances are you probably have something in the cupboard you can eat. You're not going to die if you don't get to the grocery store tonight. You can be out of pills. You can be out of that kind of thing. Now, I guess if the grocery store is open 24 hours, a lot of them have a pharmacy, although the pharmacy's hours don't always line up with the grocery store hours. The banks was on the list too. 24% of people said that they were looking for the banks to be open a little bit more. I don't quite understand this. I don't do a lot of banking in branch anymore. They've made this really, really convenient to do it, via the phone and the apps and the like. As a matter of fact, in this study, more people said, well, actually, the app now is more convenient than maybe even going in and waiting in line at the bank, depending on what it is you're looking to do. I don't really ever have to go to the branch unless I'm looking for cash. There are certain businesses, like my barber, they prefer cash to be used in there, and a lot of local businesses would prefer, right? And some places don't take cards. Or if I think, if I'm going to need cash for this or anything like that, then I stop by the ATM machine. But I don't necessarily go in the branch to get that. So this study looked into how often you're going into the bank. And they say here it's about twice a month. The average person goes into a physical bank just twice a month. They say that is impacted by the hours of operation. 36% of people said that. Where it's located was another reason, and what it costs to get there was the last reason why people are only going to the bank twice a month. Well, hours of operation will decide whether or not you go, of course, right? If you're looking at, this used to be a thing. You used to hear this all the time. Banker's hours, right? Banker's hours. You don't hear anybody say that anymore. Now, I guess it'd be streamer's hours, I suppose. But where it's located, that's kind of on you. right? I mean, you chose the bank. Now, maybe you moved houses, right? I just moved a year ago. And so now again, I bank with a local credit union. They have more than one location. So even though, and I didn't move all that far from my last house, maybe that's another reason why I didn't move all that far. But that's still very, very convenient for me. And I think my bank has 4 locations here. So I would imagine if you're with one of like the Keys or the National Cities or whatever, you're probably going to even have more of that. Over half of people, over half of the digital financial users said that they have more control over their finances when using banking or a financial app, and actually prefer it over physical banks because it saves them time and allows them not to leave their home. I don't know if control is the way I would say it. I have more knowledge over my banking, my finances, and my money through it being a little bit more digital. As somebody who criticizes the digital thing a lot, I have more knowledge. You don't necessarily need to balance your checkbook as closely as you once upon a time did have to. You can kind of watch everything be moved out of your account. You can see it. You can track every single, transaction is the word I'm searching for there, and the like. I also have the roll-up feature, which I like using online banking. So if I do happen to use my debit card, I don't a lot. I try to use my credit cards, but if I use my debit card, whatever I spend, it rounds up to the nearest dollar and automatically goes into my savings. I mean, it's not a lot, but it's a couple $100 a month. It's like, oh, geez, I didn't even think about that. But now all of a sudden there's $300 extra dollars into my savings. And so I will say the digital banking has given me more knowledge on my banking. I don't think it's necessarily given me all that more control. I am a lazy person. I can be lackadaisical, and online banking has made it to where I can pay everything on time no matter what, because it's just automatically set. I always have the money. I also have this though. I'll do it tomorrow when I feel like it, and I'm not going to feel like it tomorrow, and I end up not doing so. So I think it's I guess if that's more control, I guess that technically would be some control. But knowledge, I guess, is really what I have over my finances, because I can see the numbers every day. I can look at them every day, and it's not me doing the math wondering if I'm right about it. 9 a.m. this morning. We're going to reopen the examination of what would a woman rather run into, a man or a bear? But we're going to have to talk about it from a male's perspective. What would a man rather run into, a woman or a tree? We'll get there. 9 a.m. There is some legitimate points in this. All right, I have to clear the air on something, and this will be a little what we call inside the room for a lot of you, and maybe you've never even heard this, but I have taken this message more than a couple of times, and it has me worried I'm not doing a great job for a fantastic partner this radio station and show has. So I got lucky enough to be teamed up with Beavers Marine. They're in Atwood Lake or online at beaversmarinestore.com. And Neil's a great guy, runs a great business. As a matter of fact, I spent Friday afternoon at Lake Mohawk with him on one of their boats. Oh, actually more than one. So, I mean, so very fun, right? But I've been working closely with them for a little while now, and I'm happy about that. And he seems to be as well. But in their copy, he has me talking about what he sells, which are boats. And he's in the tri-tune business. And I grew up on a pontoon boat in Aurora Shores, but now they run 3, and so you can do a lot of things on those boats now. They're not your like father's or what would have been my grandfather's pontoon boat. They're not. As a matter of fact, I'll have to ask him about the horsepower of the one that we were in on Friday. I think it was something like 400. It was crazy. It literally knocked me over on the boat when he hit the throttle. Anywho, he is in business and sells a line of boats that are known as Godfrey. Godfrey, I believe. As a matter of fact, I have one of the booklets right here about a Godfrey boat, right? Pamphlet here. So it is. It's Godfrey. Godfrey. You would not believe I must be doing a bad job at this. But the amount of people who a week will say to me, why is that dude selling atheist boats, man? Like, and it's funny. And the first couple of times I thought people were joking. Like I did. I was like, all right, dude, that's actually pretty funny. Like that's a pretty funny joke. But then I started to get it more and more often. I was like, oh no, I think some people are confused here. So sure enough, I just took this off my text line at 330-450-7625. And it says here, I have been hearing you say God-free pontoon boat for weeks. And I'm sitting here wondering why. I had to look it up, and I just now found out it's not an atheist boat. Yeah, the first time I got one of those, I wrote back to the guy. I was like, you realize, dude, they're in Atwood Lake. That's where that guy is. Imagine selling atheist products in Atwood. Like, homie, I think that's going to go all that well for you down there. I don't think. Yeah, he is telling me here I was on a twin 400 horsepower. Is what I was on Friday afternoon. They actually had the Godfrey rep down there. We were at Lake Mohawk. They do their tri-tune shootout. It's essentially just racing around on the lake, which is a hell of a lot of fun. But they had me out in a couple of different models there so I could check them all out, try them all out, and be able to relay more information to you about them, right? That's part of my job and my business. And but I literally just took another one of those texts this morning about atheist boats, and every time I see it, dude, I copy it and send it right to him. Like, look, dude, got another one. So here's what I'll say, Neil. They're hearing it. Right? Like, so I know they're hearing it. It's just, what are they hearing? It's not a God-free boat. It's Godfrey. And I'll start speaking that word a little bit more quickly, as so it doesn't sound like that. Normally, everybody has to tell me to slow down because of how fast I'm speaking. But that word, I may have to speed that one up just a touch there. It makes me laugh every time I see it, but it does make me worry about that. So beaversmarinestore.com. There you go. All right, what you and I had been talking about was convenience. And more people are looking for more and more businesses to be open 24 hours a day. I think it's a lot to ask of a retailer, depending on the business, right? Because if you're burning electricity, paying employees to be standing around at 3 o'clock in the morning and nobody's coming into your restaurant or the business or whatever it is, that's going to be a problem. Now, I grew up, I was born in the mid-'70s, graduated high school in the mid-'90s, and, that's kind of the way that whole thing worked. And so I was there for 24-hour Walmarts, and every restaurant was open late. And although that's actually not true, my generation kind of ushered that in. I remember when Taco Bell first started to do it, it was like, there's going to be lawsuits now because they're preying on your waistline at 2 a.m. and blah, blah, blah. And the people can't stay away from it. I mean, those things were happening. Like, people were looking to sue Taco Bell for preying on you, for being open late. And that, like, but I kind of came up with that. So I did have an expectation of businesses to be open a little bit more, or a little bit longer, or a little bit more convenient for whatever my schedule may be, whatever your schedule may be, right? But do I understand why a big box retailer's like, dude, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. 95% of what we sell is online today. Anyway, as a matter of fact, walk into some of those stores now. You'll see something online. You'll go into the store. They'll be like, yeah, we only sell that online. So I understand, unless you need the product right here, right now, online shopping kind of reduced the necessity of 24-hour shopping. A lot of what people were doing is just wasting their time and walking around stores just because they were open. I remember doing that when we were a little younger, nothing to do, no place to go, a little no direction. Let's walk around Walmart, look at the new Star Wars stores, right? And it was like, what are we doing? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. We should be at home. Right? Now, this came in off my text line too, 330-450-7625. And we had been talking about this, and somebody had said to me, you know what could be a little bit more convenient schedule-wise is dentists and doctors. Because, again, the whole argument was, dude, everything can't be 9 to 5 because that's what my schedule is too. So if I'm not getting out of work till 5, you're going to be closed. That's kind of was the genesis of the conversation, right? Well, 24-hour emergency dentists are a thing. But that's not necessarily helping you with convenience because that's probably not your dentist, right? And that's an emergency situation, which what will happen there? You're going to end up spending more money. I would imagine I'm right about that. And going to the dentist, going to the doctor is expensive enough as it is. Do I think there is a business in dentists and doctors having alternative hours of operation? Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. I think that could be a benefit. Again, if everybody's working till 5 and I don't get out till 5, or if I can't get my kid out of practice till after 5, but he still has, he has to have his teeth drilled out, then I could see people wanting it. Vegas, it's a little bit more common, and I always lean on them because I have family there. It's my second home, and It's just, it feels, honestly, outside of Canton, Vegas feels like home. Cleveland doesn't feel like home anymore. Canton feels like home. Then after that, Vegas feels like home. And so when I'm there, you get a lot of that. There's 24-hour doctors. There's 24 because there are people making doctor money who are working overnight. You know what I mean? And so that's that whole city's thing. It's about the convenience. You come when you want. Just bring us the money, and we are fine. We are fine. Oh my God! Here's another one. Stansbury, you're making me feel better that I'm not the only deaf ass that was hearing you promote the devil's boats. Yes, they are Godfrey. Godfrey. They are Godfrey boats, not Godfrey. I swear to God, I'm going to be laughing about it all day. 330-450-7625 to send a text to the studio. You can also find me on your socials at The Stansbury Show. Is it time for us to do something about the dangers of social media? A lot of people think so. And I think something needs to be done, but for me, it really comes down to personal accountability. I think it's always going to be about us and how we're using something. Now, I guess what some people are going to hear me say is that I believe in no safeguards of anything, but that wouldn't be true. I bring it up because the governor of New York is apparently going to sign a bill into law. She did, rather, signed a bill into law targeting addictive social media feeds for children and teens, saying ahead of the bill signing that, quote, our kids are in distress. She went on to say they're not living carefree lives because they are being held captive to powerful forces outside of their own control. Algorithms that are intentionally addictive, intended to pull them in and keep their attention. Kathy Hochul had told that to CBS News in an exclusive interview ahead of that bill signing. Now, I don't want to get down in the muck and mire of this, but I'm not seeing a lot of people criticize her the way I believe it was Utah who did this, and people were talking about how conservatives want to control everything. Nobody's saying that to Kathy Hochul. At least I have not seen anybody say that to her. I should say it that way. I find that very interesting. I tell you this all the time. It's not about what gets done. It's about who's doing it, about how people are going to react to what gets done. The Safe for Kids Act, which she did in fact sign Thursday, requires social media companies to restrict, quote, addictive feeds for social media users under the age of 18. Apparently, if those are addictive feeds, that's perfectly fine as long as you're 19. I don't know why that would be okay, but okay. It would also bar notifications from social media platforms related to those feeds between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. Again, kind of pulled from the Utah bill. I'm gonna say this again to you because there's another part of this that goes with it. It would also bar notifications from social media platforms related to those feeds between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m.